Hey yo, what's good though? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, for the most part, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is pretty much finished. Now that we're finally in 2024, we're all pretty much thinking the same thing. What Pokemon game will we be receiving at the end of this year? But Soul, what in the world makes you think that we're even gonna receive a Pokemon game this year? Why in the world would you think that? Brody, if you don't think that we're getting a Pokemon game this year, then you have not been playing Pokemon at all. If there's at least two things that we could be certain of going into this year, it's that one of their teams, either Team B or C, has been working with a new game these last 2 years while we were playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that whatever that game is going to be coming out this upcoming November. We just don't know what it is yet. However, we only have about a month to speculate because Pokemon Day 2024 is going to be happening in February. There's no doubt about that. If for whatever reason that doesn't happen, I will dropkick somebody's grandmother. Mark my words, we're getting that Pokemon Direct, for certain. And with every Pokemon Day Presents that we've gotten since it started a couple of years ago, we've always gotten that one more thing announcement at the end of it to let us know what game we'll be receiving for that year. Unfortunately, as much as I would rather they just didn't release a Pokemon game this year at all, the sales numbers kind of speak for themselves when it comes to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's no way in hell we don't get another Pokemon game this year. But we're not here to talk about why we shouldn't get the game, we're here to talk about what game we are getting. Over the course of 2023, we talked a couple of times about the few possibilities of what we could be receiving, but never came to a direct conclusion of what's even possible to receive this upcoming year. So, why don't we go ahead, sit down, buckle up, strap in, and talk extensively about what game we could possibly be receiving this year. Actually, why don't we back it up just a little bit and first rule out the games that we certainly will not be getting. First and foremost, Generation 10, forget about it. That is legitimately at least half a decade away. Generation 10 in 2020... I can't even say that without laughing. Generation 10 in 2024 is so absolutely insane that anybody that tries to convince you that that's happening is completely delusional. For one thing, we've only been on Generation 9 of Pokemon for 1 year. The last time we've gotten a new generational game in under 2 years was in like 2nd or 3rd gen. We have not had that for a very long time. On top of this, we're working with much bigger worlds and much crazier technology. Yeah, Game Freak is insane for the amount of games that they could put out in a short amount of time, but they're not that insane. Even Game Freak has their limits, and coming up with an entirely new region and concepts before the end of 2024 is legitimately Mappa Animator's level of criminal. On top of this, we're still just barely getting Pokemon content that's adapting 9th generation. We don't even have the official dubbed version of the anime yet. That's still a full month away. Generation 9 also barely has a presence in the live service games as of right now. I can't really speak too much when it comes to Pokemon Masters EX and Pokemon Cafe Remix. But Pokemon Go only has like a handful of Gen 9 Pokemon. And in Pokemon Unite, the only playable Gen 9 Pokemon is Meowscarada. So yeah, no, we're still just getting started with Generation 9. We are not ready for Gen 10 yet. Now, this next one might be a harder sell, but hear me out here. I truly, in my core, do not believe that we're getting the Gen 5 remakes anytime soon. And I'm sure a lot of you just tilted your heads and grunted at me right now because we just played through the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And trust me, I absolutely and totally get that. I would be confused too if you weren't me. However, here's the thing. As deliberate as they were in making sure that we were fully aware that part 2 of the DLC took place in Unova, I don't think that they were insinuating that we were gonna get our hands on that this soon. The primary reason that I don't see them doing anything this soon is because of the generational gaps that they have between the remakes. When it comes to Pokemon, when you sit there and compare the time gaps between remakes and pretty much everything else within Pokemon, those are the biggest gaps. Trust me, I completely understand that it's very possible that those time gaps could mean absolutely nothing, considering the fact that they give us a game every single year. That's a very valid argument. However, I feel like those time gaps serve a very, very specific purpose. I don't think that they're just randomly deciding one year or another to go ahead and give us remakes. I think that they distance those games very much so on purpose. I don't believe that we get these remakes randomly, and that they are very distant from one another for good reason. Just imagine for a second that we were to receive remakes in anything under less than about 4 years. If they were to start doing that, they would be caught up with the current generation. Seems pretty ridiculous to be able to catch up that fast, right? They would not do something like that. On top of this, they've been following two very specific patterns. Firstly, there's the fact that they've only consistently released remakes on entirely new hardware. First gen remakes were on Game Boy SP, second gen remakes were on DS, third gen remakes were on 3DS, and fourth gen remakes were on Switch. That alone was some pretty damn huge gaps in between remakes, right? But that's not all. Gen 2 remakes came out in Generation 4. Gen 3 remakes came out in Generation 6. Gen 4 remakes came out in Generation 8. 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 plus 4 is 8. So you get what I'm getting at, right? We're not getting Gen 5 remakes until Generation 10. When you look at it that way, it all adds up. No pun intended. Besides, Generation 5 only became retro about 2 years ago. On top of that, we only actually received the Gen 4 remakes 2 years ago. So yeah, it's simply way too soon for Generation 5, despite what they may try to lead us to believe. Again, it's not impossible to believe that they would absolutely just shatter these patterns and just do whatever they want to do. However, I don't think that they would do that. Personally, I simply believe that the DLC was utilized to misdirect us into believing that we might get Generation 5 remakes, when in reality, they were just foreshadowing some of the possibilities that we might get with the 5th gen remakes. But in all honesty, that's totally fine by me. I want them to take as much time as possible with the Gen 5 remakes, because I would like for Gen 5 remakes to look exactly like whatever they were originally planning to do with Pokemon Legends, ergo, the original 4th gen remakes. Okay, so I think that we've rambled on about that more than long enough. Why don't we start talking about what is possible to receive in 2024? With this list here, I'm going to go down from least likely to most likely. And I've organized them by number. So here are 5 possible games that we could be receiving for mainline Pokemon in 2024. Starting at number 5, Pokemon Legends Kyurem. Trust me, I groaned a little bit too when I thought about it, because this definitely seems the most unlikely. On top of this, I feel like it's even more unbelievable considering the fact that I just went on like a 3-minute spiel about how we're not probably receiving Gen 5 remakes or anything Gen 5 until Generation 10. However, Pokemon Legends Arceus was not the Gen 4 remakes. It was an accidental tech demo. A tech demo that, by the end of this month, will have officially released 2 years ago. It was a super left field mainline game that did way more numbers than they were probably expecting, especially with the release timing. It would be downright foolish not to take advantage of the Legends title and utilize that for more things. In thinking back on it, I did say Pokemon Legends Kyurem, but honestly, it doesn't have to be Gen 5. It could still be Gen 1, Gen 2, or Gen 3. Pokemon Legends Mew, Pokemon Legends Celebi, Pokemon Legends Deoxys. We could still make this work, dude. I'm just saying, I don't think a single person would complain if we heard that we were getting an official mainline Pokemon Legends game that was actually planned out to be a Legends game. I would truly and fully be more than down for another Test the Waters game if it were another Legends game. And it does not have to be Kyurem, it could be literally anything. But I'm still gonna go ahead and not hold my breath on that one, because even if they were to utilize a different generation, it would probably take a little more time to make another Legends game. So I think it would be cool as hell, but it is absolutely the least likely on this list. Number 4 on my list is the possibility of us receiving sequels for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I want this more than anything else on the list. Now, I can't exactly tell you how likely this is, or even how possible it is, but given how fast they can work on these DLCs, I don't see this as something that's impossible for them to do. Now, of course, this would mean that they would have to come up with entirely new stories, probably a couple of new characters, maybe utilize a couple of returning characters and have to come up with their stories, but this isn't something that they haven't done before. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 are the only time that we've ever seen mainline generational games get sequels. And in my personal opinion, it was one of the coolest things that they've ever done. Now, I would like to go into more detail about this very specific possibility in another video, but the long and short of it is, I can see this happening because it would be insanely easy for them to reutilize assets, maybe touch them up a bit, and re-optimize everything a little bit, and give us a new story in a similar world. Doing it this way would not only grant us a new experience with Paldea, but a potentially even better experience than Scarlet and Violet. You'll hear me say this again very soon, but it would be a new story with new characters to follow and a brand new re-optimized world to explore that would function better than Scarlet and Violet. I feel like that is the optimal choice here. As to how likely it is, yeah, it's definitely gonna stay at number 4 because I don't really see that happening. What I'm about to say next is going to pain me a little bit. However, number 3 is the potential of a third version. This is yet another thing that for whatever reason we have not received since Generation 4 with Pokemon Platinum. The idea here is that they would follow in the footsteps of prior middle games such as Pokemon Crystal, Pokemon Emerald, and Pokemon Platinum and give us a third definitive edition of the game. Now I'm sure that there's a lot of you that are wondering right now why I would even pitch this as an idea. And I really don't blame you for questioning that because it has been forever since we've gotten this definitive middle version. With Black and White, we should have gotten Gray. With X and Y, we should have gotten Z. And with Sun and Moon, we should have gotten Eclipse. Now, with Pokemon Sword and Shield, I think it's more than fine that we didn't get Pokemon Gun, because there's no way in hell that they would do that. But, you know, I get it. I get why we didn't get that. However, if there was ever a time for a definitive, absolute middle edition, it would be now with Pokemon Magenta. I say Magenta because that's the most unique color I could find in between Violet and Scarlet, but yeah, maybe that. Like I said for the sequels, it's kind of a similar situation in which they could reuse assets, but in this case, I mean literally every asset that they possibly have, but at the same time just re-optimize and upgrade everything that's already there. And I feel that this is a little bit more likely than sequeled only because they could easily just take the Pokemon Platinum route and just kind of redo everything in a general sense and just make things better, like a generally just better experience, and easily resell that. Easy. Obviously, I do not want this, because if I'm going to be revisiting Paldea, I would want more things that are more new. So, no, I'm good on this, but I don't see this as something that's impossible for them to do. Next up on the list at number 2 is a reimagining. This would pretty much be the exact same situation as number 3, but the difference is they could sell it twice. Update the graphics, re-optimize the game, staple on a couple of new elements across 2 separate games, make a couple of version exclusive Pokemon, and you've got yourself a Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon situation all over again. I can't tell you how frustrating this would possibly be if they were to do this, because it would be the most boring thing they could ever do in an attempt to make Generation 9 last as long as possible. I'm telling you right now, I would legitimately rather have them announce at Pokemon Day that they were just going to take this year to update Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as much as humanly possible, as opposed to a brand new game, rather than this, because that would be the cheapest, scummiest thing they could possibly do. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is what made me realize how dirty and how low Pokemon Company is willing to go to shell out as much money from us as possible. I cannot have that happening again. Please, just not this. As likely as it is, don't make it happen. Please, thank you. Now, the number 1 most likely thing on this list is actually something that we've conversed about in depth a long time ago, and that is Pokemon Let's Go Johto. Pokemon Let's Go came out at the ass end of 2018, which means that it seems like prime time to get a remake of 2nd gen in this style. And when you think about it, Pokemon Let's Go is a Pokemon Yellow remake, so it seems more than perfect for them to finally do a Pokemon Crystal remake. And I mean, think about it. It's the perfect way to evade a mainline game or a demanding game like Legends 2, and it makes it so that they can avoid another rushed remake in the form of 5th gen. Yeah, no, I fear an announcement is inevitable for Pokemon Let's Go Johto, and on one hand, it's kind of funny, but on the other hand, it's kind of annoying. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was definitely okay. I don't think we need another one. Personally, I feel like that was just their way of integrating the Pokemon Go fans as opposed to just doing something new and unique. So I would prefer that they didn't do this. However, at the very least, it's a decent balance between something generally kind of new and something kind of familiar so that they could avoid giving us something too big too soon. You get what I'm getting at? But I am telling you right now, whatever Let's Go 2 ends up being, it's not gonna do Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee numbers. I promise you. So that just about does it for all of the possible Pokemon games we could be getting announced to us late February this year in 2024. As to what we're actually going to be getting, I could not tell you. I've said it a million times, I've said it a million more. I don't have an uncle that works in Nintendo or Game Freak, so I have no clue what's coming next. They've definitely recognized that we weren't too happy with the quality of Generation 9 in Scarlet and Violet, which is why they've actually, for the first time since, they've ever done anything with Pokemon, have posted statements about it. 2 different times. They have literally never acknowledged any of the problems that we've had with prior Pokemon games until Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where it was just so glitchy and so broken that they actually had to make up an excuse for why it's like that. Which was a dumb thing, by the way. No kid in their right mind was gonna sit there and think, oh, it's supposed to be this glitchy because that's just how Paldea is as a region. No, not a single soul thought that. No one at all. They've also admitted in an interview that they're not sure if it's possible to keep up their release cadence and also produce high quality games, with Scarlet and Violet as proof. So I can only hope that them acknowledging how upset a lot of people were with the quality of Scarlet and Violet means that they've learned their lesson and that they won't do it again. But this is Pokemon Company. When in the world have they ever had to learn a lesson and not get away with it? Whatever. Long and short of it is, this is about to be a very amusing February because we have no idea what we could possibly be in for. If I had to bet absolute money, I'd put it on Pokemon Let's Go Johto. If you wanted my preferences, I would much rather have another Legends game or a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sequel. However, if you wanted my true, honest, realist, unlikely answer, I would prefer they give us nothing. Nothing at all. I would much rather they just announce a crazy spin-off sequel. Poke Park 3, another Pokemon Rangers game. Something else that isn't mainline, and they don't give us anything because, my god, they need time to work on these games. Scarlet and Violet, as fun as they were unacceptable in terms of quality for AAA price. That was not cool. But that's likely not going to happen. So I can just hope that they actually at least give us something somewhat fresh and fun. That's all I hope at this point. But hey, that's just me. Alright, so it seems that we've made it to the end of the video. Happy New Year, happy holidays. I don't think I said Merry Christmas in literally any video that I've posted. And if I did, I forgot. But in general, happy holidays, okay? Not to date this video too hard, but the last 2 videos that I posted before this one were made in December of 2023 at some point, weeks ago. I don't remember. This one is the first video that I have recorded in 2024. So, you know, happy holidays to make things a little relevant, to know, you know, just know that I hope everybody's holidays are going well and stuff like that. I hope everybody's eating good. I hope everybody spent time with their family, and I hope that if you have gone back to work like me, that it is not too stressful on you for the beginning of the year. But other than that, yeah. I'm passing the mic over, and I'm gonna need you to go ahead and tell me what you guys think that we'll be receiving as our Pokemon game for 2024. Do you think that we're gonna get some kind of sequel, or maybe some kind of Legends game? Do you think that we're gonna get Let's Go Johto like I do? Do you think that we're gonna get none of these games and it's gonna be something completely sidelined and absolutely unexpected, because they do that all the time anyway? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always gonna be down there with you guys. And with that, yeah, it is definitely skedaddle o'clock. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this. And with that, I am gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.